impression that people with ADHD brains can't focus on anything. But that's not true. Now, it is true we can't focus on things just because we're supposed to, like in order to not fail out of high school or stay married to somebody. But when we find something especially interesting, whatever that weird thing is to us personally, or urgent, or novel, or in some other ways captivating, our brains release extra amounts of those important brain chemicals, and we can hyper-focus. And that's honing in on the excruciatingly small details of a subject for God knows how long. And that ability, I truly believe, is where cures for cancer could come from. And also, where my history of Super Bowl halftime shows flip chart comedy bit. Guys, make some noise for me. This is the first flip chart comedy bit I ever put together. And before we get underway, make some noise for me if you were born after 1980. Make some noise for me. Great. You guys have a problem. That's why we're going to have to talk about this shit, guys. It's not really your fault. Probably. It's just that if you were born after 1980, from your experience, you think the Super Bowl halftime show has always been like Prince, or Beyonce, or Springsteen, or whoever's better than Coldplay that year. And it hasn't been. It took us decades to get our Super Bowl halftime rights. And if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So guys, sit back and enjoy. We're just going to do the first, 15 or 20 years. It's going to fly by. All right, it's 1967, and we're in Los Angeles for the first Super Bowl ever. Who do you think they got for that halftime show entertainment? Remember, it's LA, it's the 60s. Oh, look, it's Grambling State University Marching Band, guys. And jazz trumpeter Al Hurts. That's his album cover. It's called The Happy Trumpets. All right, okay, but it was their first one, right? They had to get their sea legs under them. 1968, we're in Miami. Who says big year 2 entertainment like these folks? Oh, it's Grambling State University Marching Band at that time. No, look, they ain't only headliners this year. That means they fucking crushed it last time. This is a promotion. Good for them. Okay. 1969, we're back in Miami. It's Florida A&M's marching band. And then they bring in just a bunch of area high school marching bands. Terrible, does not deserve pictures, moving on. 1970, new decade, fun decade, and we're in New Orleans, fun town New Orleans. Who says fun like this gal? Carol Channing! Even in 1970, she was 105 years old. Best known for playing the role of Dolly in the Broadway show Hello, Dolly in 1917. Firecracker at the halftime show. All right, it's 1971, and we're already 5 years in. We're 5 years in, we're back in Miami. Who says 5th anniversary, big time entertainment like these folks? Up with people! Up with people. And if you're not groaning like that one voice that sounds to be about my age over there in the middle of the road, if you don't know who the fuck they are. So I'm going to explain them to you. Up with People was a huge singing and dancing troupe made up of 1,000 ultra clean-cut, mostly white kids between the ages of 18 and 22. And they used to force them on us at huge events like the Super Bowl for years and years. They were like a cross between the Mouseketeers and Hitler Youth. nobody does not, because there's pictures. 1974. And now we're in Houston, Texas. Right? And we've got the University of Longhorn Marching Band. And the University of Texas Longhorn Marching Band. And they're fronted by their headliner, Miss Judy Mallett, Miss Texas 1973 on the fiddle. No, she's never even fucking Miss America, guys! She's a year out of office of Miss Texas already. This is bullshit. This is amateur hour. This is Nepo baby stuff. America sure is better. Moving on. Alright, it's 1975. No clapping for her. It's 1975. We're back in Miami. What are we gonna do? Because this last one was awful. Who can we get to bring back the magic? Who's gonna bring back the quality? Who do we got? It's Grambling Senior! Oh, thank God. Thank God. They know they screwed up last time and they brought the pros back. By the way, these are the heroes of our story, in case you can't see. Alright, it's 1976. 10 years in, and it's the bicentennial of the nation. Just take my word for it, young people. You're great every day. Who says big time, patriotic, bicentennial fun like these folks? Up with people! Good. Nothing says melting pot of America like 1,000 white kids in spandex doing jazz hands in unison. Right, 1977, and we're back in LA, or basically LA. We're in Anaheim at the Rose Bowl. And officially, it's the Los Angeles Unified All-City Band, which is made up of kids in public school music programs all over LA County. But we're in Anaheim, right? So it's fronted by a bunch of child actors who are about to go on and play the brand new Mouseketeers, on the brand new Mickey Mouse Club, on the brand new Disney Channel. All that's new in 1977. And this is their biggest star. This is Lisa Welsher. And Lisa Welsher would go on a few years later to play Blair on The Facts of Life, making her the most important pop culture Blair, till I become famous for doing this bit. All right, 1978, we are back in New Orleans. Who do we got? Jazz Clippers! If you have never heard of him before tonight, you will never forget him now. All right, we are coming into the home stretch on this particular comedy club bit. It's 1979. We are back in Miami, and it's billed, the headliner is billed as Ken Hamilton and various Caribbean bands. But here's the thing. There are no, in focus, front view pictures of that halftime show anywhere on the internet. That show was so terrible that the NSA had them disappear. All right, it's 1980. 1980, another new decade. A new decade, and MTV is just a couple months around the corner. So we know how important music on TV is going to be, right? And it's a new decade. We've got all the bands from the 70s and the 80s to choose from. Most of their members are still alive. Maybe this is where it comes together. Who do we got? Oh my God, it's up with people! And Grambling Senior, we're seeing our two bands together! Together! Come on, guys, this would blow your fucking mind! You kidding me? This Super Bowl halftime show all-star team we got going on over here. Yes, we got. All right, it's 1981. We're back in New Orleans, and it's Helen O'Connell, whom they show as the quintessential big band singer of the 1940s. Or as I call her, the chick you get when Carol Channing is busy that year. All right, this is the last year we're going to do this bit. It's 1982. Now we're 15 years in. So I think everybody knows by now that the Super Bowl and the halftime show, it's made it. It's going to be stick around. But this is interesting. It's not in New Orleans or Miami. It's in Pontiac, Michigan. That's basically Detroit, if you're from New Jersey. So it's basically Detroit, right? And the theme is a salute to Motown. All right, guys, 15 years in, salute to Motown in Detroit. This is where it comes together. Who do we got? Up with people! That's who says Motown to the NFL. And that is the end of the History Super Bowl Halftime Show Comedy Club Flip Chart Comedy Bit. You may applaud under the Tinkerbell rules. Now, knowing what you know now about ADHD brains, even if you came in not knowing very much at all, it might not be such a surprise that a brain like mine would come up with a kind of wacky bit like that. But in the months and really years, it took me of rehearsing this and refining it and making it better, taking a flip chart to bars in basements with no windows, right, to make it better. I learned that my ADHD brain, it wasn't going to be enough for it to be creative. It was also going to have to find ways to be resourceful and resilient. And as it happened, those are lessons that I learned over and over while researching this bit from the first Super Bowl halftime show producer. Now, I don't talk about him in my comedy club bit, but I think you'll like his story. And that comedy club producer, that first Super Bowl halftime show producer was named Tommy Walker. Tommy Walker was a child prodigy musician, mostly a trumpet player. Played all over the United States and Europe, touring in the 1930s, right? And when World War II broke out, he enlisted, earned a Bronze Star, and when he returned to the States, he enrolled at the University of Southern California, where he became the drum major of the marching band. And also, he kicked the extra points for the football team. You guys understand what I'm telling you right now? Right, he's out there, he's got the big ass hat and the huge stick, and he's leading the marching band around on the field at halftime. It's la la la, music, 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 and then they're done, and he goes back up into the stands, and then I guess every once in a while, a coach run over to the railing and say, "Hey Tommy, can you come down here and kick this extra point?" And I don't know how well you can see this picture, but he's setting up his own kick. He's still got his band hat on. But I bet that happened more than once. Because for real, he used to wear his football uniform under his band regalia. And then I guess when he had to go out there and kick, he'd just do like a Clark Kent and Superman thing. Go out there and kick that extra point. And he was legit good. So much so that his nickname in college had nothing to do with music. It was Tommy the Toe. And he was recruited by a number of pro football teams, including the then Washington Redskins football team. But he decided that's not where his heart was. He wound up coming back to the University of Southern California after graduation and was the on-staff band director. And he became known for putting on sort of fun, quirky, interesting halftime shows at college football games all over California. So much so that some years in, he eventually caught the eye of Disney. Not just the place, Walt Disney himself. And he brought Tommy on to be the first director of entertainment at Disneyland in California before it even opened. And he took that job, and every day at that gig was a master class in learning how to put on big, outdoor, public, celebratory events, especially those ending in magnificent fireworks displays. And then some years into this gig, this new Super Bowl comes knocking on Tommy's door. And you gotta understand back then, like the Super Bowl never happened yet. It wasn't even called the Super Bowl yet. And they wanted Tommy to come on board and put on a kick-ass halftime show. Oh, but with like no money and no help. And Tommy did it. He left Disney and took this risky gig. And he put on that very first halftime show, right? He's got all this quirky stuff from his college football games going on, right? Like he's got these jetpack guys. He got these jetpack guys floating around. And look, there's maybe like, I don't know, 15 minutes of this show that I originally had in it that I have cut for time. That's about Tommy Walker and his history of using jetpack guys at big events. And it's fascinating, and you should Google it. But anyway, we got these jetpack guys. And then he's got Grambling State Marching Band. I believe he has ASU Marching Band. But then he needs like some kind of headliner. So he calls in a favor to a fellow trumpeter friend who happens to also be the director of music for the hottest show on TV back then, the Green Hornet. And that's our friend, Al Hurt. And a few minutes ago, we're all laughing about Al Hurt in that first halftime show. And I have encouraged many audiences over the years to laugh at that. But screw me. Because Tommy made this thing out of nothing. And people had a good time, at least like 1967 in the daytime with your family kind of good time. Right? So much so that they had to come back and produce a few more Super Bowl halftime shows as the years went by. But even after this first one, Tommy's new career was launched. He became an internationally sought-after producer of large public celebratory events, including a couple presidential inaugurations and the opening and closing ceremonies of a couple Olympic Games. And then, in 1986, Tommy got what he considered to be the biggest gig of his career. He was asked to be the executive producer for the centennial celebration of the Statue of Liberty in New York. And of course, his plan was to put on the biggest and best fireworks display of his career, with that statue as the perfect backdrop. But as planning got underway, powers that be said, you know what, Tommy? We're gonna have like, I don't know, 10 million tourists down here, and like the President of the United States. So we think that maybe planting explosives all over Liberty Island and Lower Manhattan might be a bad idea. We need you to come up with a new ending. And Tommy came back with a whole lot of, oh, hell no. No, we're doing it my way. But I understand your concerns about safety. I get that. So I'm going to call in another one of those favors of mine, this time to a friend in the federal government. And I'm going to get them to give me a bunch of Navy SEALs in my direction to keep all the fireworks safe. And he did it! He got the federal government to give a bunch of Navy SEALs to put it in his direction to keep all the fireworks safe. And look, I'm not saying this is the best use of our taxpayer dollars or whatever. But I admire the chutzpah. And Tommy got that biggest and best fireworks display of his career, which, sure, you can applaud, which happened to be just a couple months before he died. So yeah, when I started putting this bit together and researching it, a lot of people like comedy bookers, other comedians, sometimes audience members, used to tell me they thought it was going to be too weird or annoying. Guess what? Some still do. But you know who wouldn't give up on flip chart comedy? You know who would embrace that tornado and make it bigger? Tommy the Mother 11-Toe Walker. That's who. Now, is Tommy ADHD? I can't prove it. Except look at his whole life.